Hello and welcome to today's episode of the Work at Home Rockstar Podcast. Today, I am talking to the president of Regen, and he's also the author of The Future of Regenerative Medicine, Unlocking the Potential of Topical Stem Cell Therapy. So we're rocking out today with Tommy Rhee. Hey, Dr. Tommy Rhee, are you ready to rock?
Oh, absolutely. And thank you very much to be on this podcast.
No problem. So we always start off here on a good note. So tell me a story of success that we can be inspired by.
Wow, that's a good question here. Success. So I think the biggest success was, looking back, it's probably what really started this whole journey of learning to go through hard work and win and be successful. If it's an event, it always draws me back to the military days. And there was this task. It was a it was tough for me for some reason. It was what they call you had to tread with all your flight gear on. And these flight gears were not inflated. So it's like your boots, your flight suit, your survival vest, your helmet. And I'm not that buoyant back then. I was like a rock. So it was difficult for me to like stay floating. And then with all that gear, it's even more difficult. And I remember like having such a difficult time. And it was like one of those things like when you fail, you're out of the program, you're not going to be in flight, and it's just one of those things like just kind of like, put you in that perspective like, uh-oh, this is a lot of stress. So not
Yeah.
only is it physically, but now it's mentally stressful because now you think your future is going to be like entangled by this thing. So I remember just going at it and just trying to get my mental state into a like a zen, like a just be peace, and that calms the physical side of my body. And then I'm allowed to tread because one of the things that they don't allow you to do is swim. If you can swim, you can stay afloat, but they say stay still and tread. So in that successful moment of breaking, it was a 5 minute tread and a 5 minute what they call the drown proofing, or so a total of 10 minutes. Uh, After that, you feel this weight off your shoulder, and it's like, okay, I know now that this is something that is as possible, and it leads you to the next challenge, the next challenge. So it's like a cascade of events. So that always draws me back when I think about. I mean, there's other successful moments in your life as an adult,
Yeah.
but when you look back, you look at that one moment, like, I mean, I just remember the fear in my eyes, looking at that pool, looking at these people, like failing, and like, I gotta get through this thing. So I think that's one of my biggest stories.
Well, yeah. And it's funny how that happens, right? And people get scared to even try in the first place, but you do it and you make it through, and then it just kind of leads you to the next challenge, right? Now that one doesn't look so bad anymore.
Absolutely. That's the thing about life. You have to put yourself, like move that benchmark, move that threshold up higher with more challenges, either mental or physical. Just got to keep on applying it.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember when I was in university when first year when, we'd be talking to the professors and you sort of have these mentors that'll be like, okay, well, if you look at the syllabus, don't worry about it because the end you're going to be shocked that you completed that. Right now, you're like, I don't have any idea how I'm going to get this done right in this term. But at the end of it, it's done. And then you're on to the next syllabus, right?
Yeah. That's what the military teaches too, is these micro victories, these small little wins. You not don't look at the whole picture, look at the
Yeah.
small steps. And then those steps will increase into a larger accomplishment, and finally the goal is achieved.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think probably as an entrepreneur, you know, I mean, when you're going to school or when you're in the military or even when you're working a job, someone's going to break those down for you and just give them to you. Just do this little task, right? And
Yeah.
then at the end of it, it's done. But as an entrepreneur, you're looking at a big thing that you have to accomplish, and you have to be the one to break that down into those tasks, right?
Yeah. That's what's interesting about an entrepreneur, and just it's almost like there's a group, but really the group is you. It's you and just the knowledge that you can get from yourself and the stamina and the drive to accomplish that. So
Mhm.
it's a combination of a lot of things. There's so much information to get, but you have to, take it upon yourself to go get it. You have to
Yeah.
get those resources, get that. I mean, nowadays you got podcasts, you got, AI, you got all this information out there you
Yeah.
can get. But the hard part is that who's going to go out and do that effort, right? Well, it has to be you. So that's that again, going back to the military. That's what instilled in me was like, if you want something, depend on yourself and pull through and get to that spot.
Yeah, I think that's the best way to live too. I mean, hey, it's just me, but I feel way more fulfilled, figuring, climbing those mountains or, going in that pool and doing those things than if it were to just, I go in, I collect my paycheck, and then I leave. It just seems like, there's just more joy when you get those ups and downs of like fear and, and failure and then success, right?
Yeah. You know what's funny about what you just said? You have to look at the personality too. Like, you know, you and I are probably that type of person that likes to like, be how would you say, on the outside of the box. You want to like color outside the lines,
Yeah.
So when you have that mindset, you're thinking like, I can do a better job, or I can do like, especially like you're saying in music, that's a creativity. You want to go, all right, there's a standard process, there's standard, but let me go outside and go kind of push the envelope and make the sound different, make the beat different. So when I start thinking about entrepreneurs, it's a different breed of people that think different. And then
Yeah.
when they set themselves a goal, they get passionate. When you get passionate with a project, you're unstoppable. And all you gotta do is just stay consistent and stay passionate. And then, like I was taught in the military, if you never quit, you never lose. You just constantly keep going. So, yeah, so it's that mindset that we all have that just constantly just find that passion, find that goal, love what you do, and then it doesn't matter, during the process, you'll achieve it if you just keep consistency.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, you haven't lost until you quit, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I love that. Okay, well now not everything goes as planned though, because there are some failures that come up, and I'm wondering, can you share with me something that we can learn from that happened to you?
Failures. Wow, there's a lot of failures out there. If you're in business, you'll come across, we don't call them failures, we call them like learning lessons or
Yeah,
hurdles or something else.
yeah.
So I think that one of the biggest thing is the is trying to depend on people. That's one of the
Mm,
things that you have to be careful with. When you're on your own and you've got an idea and you're leading the charge of your own idea in business and you're the CEO and you're president, and you bring on advisors, maybe a partner or something, and then what you envision in their task, if it's not in the foundation in a solid agreement, there's a disconnect. It's always gonna turn out bad. So the biggest thing that I've learned in my lessons in life, you have to have a real strong conversation when you partner up, bring somebody on board into your vision. If they don't have the same vision as you, or they're not trying to, help you achieve your goal, maybe they take a selfish route and say, "Hey, this is mine, and you're gonna help me." And so you've got to be careful. So
mm,
in my past, I've been burnt by people, especially like when it comes to like um, people you think you can depend on with partnerships and some type of advisory position. One of the things that you have to understand is that they have their sets, they have their own, their reason why they want to join your
yeah, their
group.
agenda.
So what happened to me was that I had a big falling out with one of my advisor partner guys, and we didn't meet. The problem with that is that the company parted ways, he set into a presence of trying to destroy me in the sense of like shutting down all my infrastructure, like my CRM, the banking system, and it was awful. It was awful. So the lesson I learned right there is that, learn at the very beginning as best as I know it's difficult, but at the very beginning, try to get a really good foundational conversation about the real facts. What are your perception of him, yourself, everybody? And then if it's your business, you've got to, have control. Get more control. Like I trusted people, and then lesson learned there. So I guess the biggest thing that I can say about my lesson was you have to really, understand your partnership, your people you bring on board, and then, you know, make sure that you trust people, but you have to not micromanage them, but you have to have some type of like a not I wouldn't say exit strategy, but you have to have some type of control in every aspect of your business,
Mm,
even if it's his responsibility.
yeah. No, I agree. And it's tough, right? because I think that one of the realities, I guess, is that trustworthy people tend to think that everybody's trustworthy, and untrustworthy people tend to think that everybody's untrustworthy.
Yeah.
And I've noticed that a lot, right? And and it's unfortunate because when you trust somebody who's untrustworthy, they actually don't trust you and will try to screw you over. And you're just going, what? What's happening here? Right?
Yeah. You know, it's exactly what you said. It's kind of like you want like for instance like what I in my personality, I'm that person that I trust people, but I also don't trust people at the same time. Like, I want total control. So you start, thinking that all right, on this new adventure, I'm gonna give more maybe some objective findings and figure out if it's really me that's kind of hampering the past relationship with other partners and stuff like that. So then
Mm,
you go the other extreme, not so much a conservative. Now you're like you're liberating all your responsibility to somebody else. So then now the problem is, oh wow, now you give them too much control. So it's a balance. You just got to learn that balance, and that's a difficulty when you start thinking about like joining on with a partner and just figuring out you have to really secure yourself. And it's kind of weird because it's like, that saying like nice guys finish last, and
yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
don't see my kindness as weakness, and it's tough, because my personality is that I enjoy people and I love conversation, and my feeling is that I just want to help people and spread the word and make a product that helps people. But when you get business and money, then you get people that get kind of greedy, and they kind of like they don't see that vision. They want to say, "All right, I want to make money and I want to be." I said, "Uh-oh." So that's what the difference is, that you have to find somebody that understands that your role is this, and then don't exceed that, because now it's a difficult conversation after the relationship has been built. So it's like, learn that lesson.
Yeah, that's probably a course on its own to figure all
Yeah.
that stuff
Oh
out.
my gosh.
Yeah. But I mean, the good news is that there are plenty of trustworthy people there that are building, something. But I think you're right. I think getting a little bit of that get to know you type stuff in the very beginning. I know I've heard uh so many people talking about, the difference between hiring, for culture versus for skills, right? And skills can be taught, there are, but the culture, the personality of a person, it is what it is, right? And so if you focus a little bit more on that in the beginning, then you might get some better results, right? Because I mean, oftentimes we will go out there and get the person who's the best at whatever it is that they're doing, and they might not be the right person for you, right?
Yeah, especially when you like you said, you got to be careful what you wish for, right? You want the best of the best. Well, that best might think that I can take your job too. So you got to say, wait a minute, that best is a little too in the greedy and exceeding his role best. So yeah, absolutely. So I do like that thought process what you just said about the culture. Get the culture, I'm gonna have to start thinking about that. Like, I I didn't look at it that way. So thank you very much for that, Tim. I'm gonna look at
Oh,
that angle.
you're welcome. Yeah, I think it's big. I think it's especially, I mean, in small business. I mean, we don't have time. I mean, you can't be hiring and firing people all the time. Like, it's you got to figure out the best way to bring the right people on board. But I think that another thing too is that I like the idea of hiring people that are self-employed, because if they've got their own business and their business just aligns with your business, then it's one of those things where you're both working hard on your own thing. Like you say, I mean, they want to make money. Hey, I get that. I get that. You got to feed your family, right? I mean, if you're part of my journey and you're doing it for free, well, that's not good. I mean, there's got to be a win-win somewhere. But on the other hand, if there's a way that they can have their little bit, that's what they do, and that's what they love doing, and they don't do your bit on purpose,
Yeah,
right? That's
yeah.
probably a good place to be. Now you know they're not going to steal you.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Win-win is the best scenario, I always think, even on my side, I always think that I want them to have a little bit more, so then they have some like like skin in the game, they would say, right? But absolutely, you've got to get a partnership that understands that we both benefit working together for the common goal.
Yeah. let's talk about practicing. Now, I mean, you've probably done a lot of practicing in a lot of different areas, but what is it? What do you think practice is actually?
Well, practicing everything you can think of, if it's the mental side of it, the physical side of it, just repetition, building a behavior, we all have those bad behaviors. Well, you can also make good behaviors. You can like, for instance, like get up in the morning and make sure that you make your bed. Get up there because that sets your day off right. Once you
Mm,
start accomplishing these little micro victories, then all of a sudden you're set off right. That's one goal I accomplished today. Let's keep on going. And all of a sudden those tasks in hand are going to be easier and easier because like all right, I've got those now. And then you like I said, I always have to go back in the military days. It's these little micro victories that they just teach you. Like here, take this, take that, and all of a sudden you end up like I'm done. That was easy because they just show you how those steps were. So
yeah.
that's why I think about like these lessons, practices. It's this repetitive motion. Like nothing's worse than like when I get up in the morning, I have my ritual, meditation, prayer, and then I listen to something positive, positive motivation, something. It's a YouTube video, it's a testimonial, something because it sets in the motion of the day. You've got to continue on from that point on because
Yeah.
everything else is like sunshine. Maybe at the end of the day you can do something else, but I always think that if you can set yourself in that mold, everything becomes easier. So then when you put yourself in a task, you already have the actual template. You just got to apply the actual subject matter inside this thing and you just continue on.
That's great. I love what you said about making your bed. I mean, this is one of those things where people will just kind of go, "What? Come on, what does that have to do with me having a successful day?" Right? Make my bed. I mean, no one's gonna see my bed. I'm out, I'm out in the office, right? Why do I need to do this? And I think that that's in the beginning. I mean, I thought my mom made me make my bed so that it looked good, right? I mean, that's ridiculous now that I'm thinking about it, but why does it have to look good, right? But but I like what you're saying. It sets you up with that micro victory, right? It sets you up with something. And I mean, do you make it real good or do you just pull the covers over? What do you do?
Yeah, so I'm like the generic, like 50-50, but the most important thing is that it forces you out of bed. When that alarm clock, there's no snooze button, you get up and all of a sudden by the time you realize, I'm waking up, you're done with the bed. It's like, okay, now let's just continue on getting ready. So it just puts everything in that practice mode of just repetitive movement and behavior. See, here's the thing with if when you start really being objective, like really being objective with you, like really finding out who you are, like I can become very lazy. I can be one of those guys that sleeps in and then let the whole weekend go by without any just like conscious thought. I could just like zone out. And knowing that, and then there's project at hand. Well, I have to force it. So I have to start off with those little tiny victories to get me going. So
Hmm.
if I didn't use that little like that bed making in the morning and all, oh, I would lose it. I would definitely be, from Saturday morning to Monday morning, I'm like, what happened? What's going on here? What did I do this weekend? So that's why it really sets into the first step of everything I want to achieve.
Yeah. Well, in sports, I was watching something, I can't remember what it was, but they were talking about how a lot of athletes will have this warm-up routine that they do, and it's the same one. It's like this ritual that they do every time, and then they just, jump off the diving board or whatever it is that they're doing. And I think that what they said is that the thought pattern is that it's like a ramp. It's like it sets your brain up that okay, we're going. And then that little routine is something that it's very predictable. There's no way it's going to go wrong, right? It's just something very easy. And that ramp just gets you going, and then now you're in your event. Like,
Yeah. You could do that with anything, not only sport, but music, anything. You could just imagine that you can apply like any of that type of scenario ramping up into, a work mode, working out, music, conducting, constructing a building. You have to warm up to it. And then all of a sudden the juices flow and all of a sudden there you're in the thick of it and everything is 100% just activation.
yeah, yeah. Your brain does need that, I think. I mean, and I actually did use that for music. I played the same song as my sound check song for a decade.
Oh, that's
And
cool.
it just turned into a bit of a joke because now, I mean, everybody like at my jams will know that that's the song we're starting with. It's so cool.
But that's cool. That's just like making a bed in the morning. You got your little starter kit. I like that. That's great.
Yeah. Yeah, it works really well. So let's talk a little bit about the band. Now, who do you have in your business that help make the magic happen?
Well, with Regen, it's pretty much a one man shot right now. So it's me. The company. Okay, so when I developed this thing, which is a topical stem cell cream, I'm the developer. I'm the R&D. I'm doing the research. I'm doing papers. And then once you get to a point where you're starting to grow with sales and learning how to use a CRM and just really applying, then I brought in a partner, and that partner, didn't work out too well. So that sort of destroyed a lot of things. But so at this point, it's just me. And that covers all the hats of running a company from basically the reception, answering phones, taking orders, doing the actual like the shipments, the delivery, the actual like making sure all the supplies. So I'm everybody right now. On
Wow.
top of doing, you know, working my other job, which is the chiropractic physical therapy stuff. So it's very taxing. That's why, like I said, once you set yourself and you see the vision, and then you have that practice, that condition of driving, and you never quit. Well, that's where I'm at. I mean, it seems to other people like, wow, you work a lot, but when you're in my world, it's like it's just normal. It's just something that we all know as an entrepreneur that this is part of life. You just keep going. You don't feel sorry for yourself. We just keep going. This is something that we see as our passion. And it's
Yeah.
easier for us. It's like fun.
Yeah, yeah. I compare it more like to a hobby. Nobody gets mad at you and says, "Oh, you're wasting your life away with that hobby of yours." You know, you should, but they say that with work. Oh, you work too much. They don't say, "Oh, you play your guitar too much." Well, maybe they will. Don't feel bad for you.
But you know what's funny is that when you start going in this world of like, doing your own business, entrepreneur, and just really, you start finding out who your friends are and who
Mm,
supports and who really antagonize you. And it's kind of like you've got to have not so much a thick skin, but you have to have the strength to like know how to like turn your head and not listen and don't take their advice or their criticisms. And that's difficult because these lifelong friends that you may have that are like telling you that like don't go for your passion, don't go for what you want to do, go into the box, go be a normal person. You got to find out who you are and who they are and see if that's worth your relationship with them.
yeah. That is really unfortunate. I mean, and you see so much of that. The thing that's most frustrating is like the ones that tell you you shouldn't do it, it's not a good idea. And then once you do it and you're successful, they're like, I knew you would be, I knew you could do it.
Oh my gosh, it's so true. So true.
What do you mean you knew I could do it? Oh yeah, I was just testing your resolve.
Yeah. You know what? But the other side of that coin is the one that supports you. That person, you sort of lean on that person. I mean, you're not looking for advice, but it's that cheerleader. It's like the hey, you got this. Continue on. And then it's just a vent. I have a great friend. Great friend Jeff. He's who I vent to. Like he sits back and he doesn't judge. He just says, "You got this. You keep going. You're doing fantastic." And he puts me back into my path. Sometimes you get kicked to here. So, you guys out there, find that person, find that one person that's always gonna give you the positive feedback, the encouragement, and continue on and the belief. I think that's huge. So I do think, hey Jeff out there, thanks a lot, man.
Well, and now out of curiosity, what does Jeff do?
So he's also a doctor, but he's
Yep.
more so in just practicing. He doesn't expand himself like I do. Like I go out and say, I want to expand out. I want to go into like developing a product, writing a book. So with that, he's just a friend of mine since like we were like elementary, students. So
Well, and it sounds to me like he knows who he is and he's comfortable and confident. He's got nothing to prove. He's not trying to, you know, take what you have. He's confident. And that's the thing, right? I mean, I think the people that tear you down are the ones that, they're missing something in their lives, and so they're trying to take it from yours, right?
Yeah.
Whereas someone who is happy, they're happy for you.
Yeah, 100%. And again, talking about like entrepreneurs, it's that mindset. We're genetically coded for this. We are meant to do this expansion into the world of risk,
Mm,
about hey, find your passion. It may penetrate outside of the box that's protected by, corporate world, but you believe in something. That's who I am. That's what a lot of entrepreneurs are. So that's that mindset. His
yeah,
mindset isn't that. He's happy where he's at, which I love. I love his passion, his world, and he loves my passion. And that's what's
yeah,
so good for me to feedback from his positive energy.
yeah, yeah. There's all different types of people. I mean, I say this all the time. It's like, if you're happy, that's awesome. Keep doing what you're doing. If you're not happy, then you can change, right?
Yeah.
But I mean,
And there's a lot of people out there not happy. A lot of people in that world of, and I always think that if you're not happy and change, well, that's the problem. That behavior, they're stuck in that bad behavior, that bad whatever they're into it and they can't get out of it. And it's very difficult, to change course while it's going down a bad pathway. That's the difficult. That's why you hear a lot of things about like, substance abuse
yep,
or like dietary things, all kinds of cardiac health issues. Well, a lot of that's behavior in a bad way that if you alter that, you can fix it. But if that was easy, then, you see a lot of like medical bills go down a lot because, health is one of the big things that are consequences of poor diet and poor exercise and stress.
yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, to be fair though, there are a lot of traps in our society that, lots of very wealthy companies that spend a lot of money on trying to keep you trapped in some of these things that you
Yeah,
might end up in, right? And it
yeah,
does take a lot to pull yourself out of it. And, probably part of this would be finding the right band, finding the right people around you that can support you out of that and get you out of those ruts when you get into them. Because hey, we all fall in the rut from time to time, right? And
yeah.
it's just
Hey, were you one of those kids in school that kind of like pushed the envelope, like a little more boisterous, and then
yeah,
saying like, "Hey, I don't fit." That's who I am too. We're
yeah,
all like that. We don't fit in that mold, like the classroom setting. I think I can learn this material not in a 6 hour period. Maybe I can do it in 30 minutes, and then the rest we can find something that we enjoy to study on. We want to do instead of like being forced to learn about, I don't know, like simple like history of something, right? So I think that's one of the things that when you see those students that are really like they fall in line and they're perfectly happy with being told what to do, well, they're happy in that kind of world. Whereas like guys like us, we love the challenge, we love to expand ourselves and go for something we want to be passionate about.
yeah. Yeah, and I think that our challenge now is to also support and be happy for the people that are happy not being us.
Yeah. Oh,
Because I think,
100%. We need those people, believe it or
yeah,
not. Those are the ones that, how would you say, like, they're the ones that do the actual, like, the operation, the one that, you've got to do the assembly.
yeah,
There are places for everybody here. And
absolutely.
just find that enjoyment and continue on.
Absolutely. Yeah, my happiness doesn't have to be your happiness, and that's a good thing, right?
Yes. Oh, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
100%.
right on. So now it's time for your guest solo. So tell me what's exciting in your business right now.
Okay, so Regen. So it's the first topical transdermal stem cell therapy cream, and it derives from the same place where you hear about stem cell therapy from injections. So it comes from this, there's a part of an umbilical cord. It's called a Wharton's jelly, and on the jelly there's these stem cells, right? Little helpers that help you kind of like regenerate your own tissues. So you get this stuff from the lab, and then you inject it into your body, and it heals like damaged areas of like tendons, muscles that don't heal well. So
Okay.
because of the cost and the risk factor, not a lot of people are eligible for that because the cost could be up to $15,000. So Now you think about, well, if there's a cheaper way, a safer way of getting these stem cells in your body, well, that's what Regen is. So I've
Oh,
developed this topical transdermal that goes through the skin that does the same objective as the injectable, except for there's no risk factor and the cost is so much less. So now you can get these stem cells, right? These little guys that help you generate your tissue on a cream that you rub on yourself, and it's a daily application and it's a 30-day process and it yields as much as the injectable. So that's what's
wow.
fun about my world right now. So, right, I think the big thing with Regen is it was developed really for NFL players that I was working on. And the big thing with them is that they were complaining about stem cell injections. They can't do it during the season. So that's why this was developed because they wanted a different delivery system than injectable. So that's why I developed a topical. So then I said, well, if it works for NFL players, I can go ahead, provide it to civilians and weekend warriors. So that's where Regen is
Oh,
all started there.
wow. Okay. Well, so now does it like how does it work? Like where do you like you got a sore elbow or whatever, you rub it on your elbow type thing? It's
Yeah,
wherever
yeah,
you're sore?
yeah. So you're thinking about these stem cells, right? These stem cells have these little magical like signalers called EVs, extracellular vesicles. These little EVs have like messages. These messages like target tissues like the muscles and the tendons and ligament to regenerate. It's called a cell-to-cell communication. It's called a paracrine effect. So what you do is you just rub it on your skin, and then it goes through the skin, these little messages, right? And then it goes to the damaged area through a system called honing. It hones to the damaged area. Once it gets there, it says, all right, tendons through the tenocytes signal turn on to make more tendons because you have a little bit of tendonitis. If it's a cartilage that needs to increase because you have joint space loss, it'll tell the cartilage to grow bigger. So you think about all the connected tissue, we have the ability to regenerate tissue, but the problem is the signal in our body has decreased with aging. So
Yeah.
now what do we need? We need a young, vibrant signal from the umbilical cord that's in Regen to turn on your existing tissue to say, all right, regenerate. So that's the fun part. So now you see the future moving into the patient's hand, not so much as a doctor doing the injection. Now you'll be able to say, all right, I know by listening to podcasts like this and doing all kind of my own like research, I can figure out what I need and just get it and apply it to myself. So that's why it's getting more interesting in the world of regenerative medicine. It's developing into a almost a patient type of provider where they take care of themselves by the information that's out there.
Yeah, wow, that's awesome. Well, and I mean the rest of the marketplace has really transitioned quite a bit too. Like I remember back in the 80s or 70s, maybe even in the 90s, when you walk into a store, I mean, you go find the salesman. The salesman tells you what you need, right? They're more educators back then, but now, you walk into a store and you already know on your phone exactly what you're looking for. You just go get it, right? And you walk
How
out, or
cool is
sometimes you
that?
don't even go to the store,
Oh,
right? And
yeah, that's the coolest thing in the world. This technology, especially in your hand by the cell phone, you can get information so fast. Remember the days of like you used to trust your friend that had a little better IQ, and you're like saying
yeah,
goes nowadays goes, hang on, man, you get in your phone goes, I'm gonna Google that, and all of a sudden goes, wrong, you're wrong. So that's why everybody, fact checking and all that information out there, and then you've got to fact check the facts. So then you're constantly checking. So
yeah,
that's what's great about this is that if you're out there and you're really investigating of something that you want to develop, there's so much information out there. There's
yeah,
so many things you can get involved with as far as like ChatGPT is a fine piece of tool. Then you
yeah,
take that information and you cross-reference that with something else, and then you make sure that all your references are checked. It goes, okay, I believe that.
yeah. I agree. Yeah, with ChatGPT especially. It's funny you say that because back in the day, you used to debate with your friends about whatever it was, and like, no, you're wrong, you're wrong. That does not happen anymore at all. Now it's like, did so and so do this? And you're like, let me check, and then
Oh
it's
my
done.
So I've got kids, my kids are kind of old, so they're like in their 30s and late 20s. And when you're like little baby kids, they would look at you like a superhero and they'll believe everything you say, right? Nowadays, we'll have conversation and they're in the middle of the conversation, they'll pull the phone out and they'll fact check you. And then the worst thing about their personality is that when I'm right and they're wrong, and then they see it and then they just stay quiet, and they're like, well, man, we gotta be objective here, you know. I'm trying to help you out, guys, and they're like, oh man, it's like I lost an argument. It goes, well, you didn't lose an argument. You just basically stood on the wrong side. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah, it is funny. They're looking at the phone. If they don't say anything, then you're right.
Yeah. But that's
Yeah.
what's great about this. And then, continue on with the world of business on it. When you get your own business, you're with this information now, you can get to sources so much faster. Like for instance, you may have a question with taxation. Can I write this off? Hey, pull out the old phone and go Google it, and you'll find out
Yeah.
real quick that answer instead of like asking an accountant or attorney that charges $300 an hour. Hey, what about this? And then you get the bill a month later, goes, look at this bill, just for a question.
Yeah. The tools are so incredible. And so for people that like you and I that want to get out there and create something, the tools are out there to help us do it. I mean, back in the day, you used to be blocked by a lot of that stuff, even the marketing side of it. I mean, you have to go buy a TV ad or a billboard or whatever it is to get that information out there, or even go door to door. Like it was just so much harder. Now it's a matter of like you still have to stick out, right? You have to figure out how to stick out amongst all the noise. But anybody has tools available to them now to be able to get something off the ground, even if it has to be with researching to find the right people to help us.
Oh, absolutely. There's so many creative people out there that can really hone into what the best marketing campaign and how to
Yeah,
approach it. And but it all comes down to, accessibility. So, like you said, in the past, it was very difficult because there's only like what three mediums, right? Radio, TV, and print. Now you see internet, you see everything. I mean, there's so many things out there that you can get
yeah,
involved with that. Some of them are free. That's the cool thing about that.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. So how do we find out more about your business then?
Well, if you can just go on to my website, which is RheeGen, RheeGen.com, you can take a look at the RheeGen, the product. And then, of course, my book is on Amazon. That's the Future of Regenerative Medicine. And then I would use my last name, Rhee, and you can find me faster with that. It's a real simple book, too. So it has, you know, information about what are stem cells, what are different types of stem cells, and then what's the application in the present, and where the feature is topical. And it talks about the science of it, which people get lost. So there's another version inside that book, which is a layman's term. It's a guy named Jeff. It's his journey through discovering stem cell therapy. So yeah, so that's the fastest way to get me there on the website and the book.
Beautiful. Okay, so one more question, the hardest one. Who's your favorite rock star?
YouTube. I mean YouTube. I mean,
Nice.
I can listen to, again, that brings me back to the Navy days. This is back in 1987, and the Tree album that kept me alive. Back then there was no like, we had the Sony Walkmans, and you had to put the triple A, double A batteries in that thing, and I would waste that battery, and I would just listen to that because when you're deployed. You don't get to have the luxury of like a streaming radio or anything, so you have to carry these cassettes, and it was that cassette and I just played the hell out of that thing. So when they had that, remember Joshua Tree reunion tour they had a
Yep,
couple
I
years
do.
ago? I,
Yep.
I made sure I went to that concert. So,
Yeah, I went to it too. That's awesome. Yeah, they put on a good show too.
oh, if you listen to the lyrics, I mean, there's a lot of meaning. Even every genre. When I was 20s, it meant something. 30s, 40s, every set of age group, it means something. Like right now, it means a different meaning than when I was 20.
Yeah. Isn't that funny how that happens? You get something different out of it depending on where you are in your life. And
Yeah.
it works the same way with a lot of different songs, a lot of different music. Yeah. Even books, movies, all that stuff, right?
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
so interesting of like where you're at in life and it just changes the whole meaning of that music or that movie.
Right on. Well, thank you so much for rocking out with me today, Tommy. This has been a lot of fun.
Hey man, thank you very much. I really appreciate this. This is fun.
Awesome. And to the listeners, make sure you go to workathomerockstar.com for more information. And we'll see you next time on the Work at Home Rockstar podcast.